Hello, hello. All right. So I am coming on today to talk about the question of how to get a man to pursue you, how to be the kind of woman who is pursued. So, if you don't know me, I am Elizabeth. I am a dating, feminine energy, and inner work, inner healing coach. I help high achieving, smart women do the work to find and keep amazing relationships with men. So, if you're a woman and you want a man to court you and pursue you in dating, and that has not been what's been happening, then we need to have some kind of like a basic understanding of why does this happen, how it works, what drives that. So you can kind of start to look at, okay, so why might this not be happening for me? So when it comes to courting, we have one person who is going to be the pursuer and one person who is the pursued, the person being courted. And typically, through most of human history, traditionally and evolutionarily, just down to our DNA, this has always been the man who is pursuing and courting the woman. And that's just something instinctual in us that we know is just how it's supposed to be. Now, this doesn't mean that one person should chase someone who isn't interested and isn't demonstrating interest or reciprocating. That's not what I mean by pursuit. This means that one person is going first, one person is initiating the actions, moving things forward, asking out, making plans, following up to keep the ball rolling, and overall just trying to impress the other person. And then the other one, the one who's being pursued, is the one who is responding to that and receiving it, hopefully positively. So this is really the mating dance. And of course, it's driven by attraction, by polarity. So you have the magnetizer who is pursued and the magnetized who is the one pursuing. So what happens when it works like this is that there is this little bit of tension, this little bit of space, a little gap between the two people that's created. And closing that gap is what compels the pursuit and creates that mating dance, the polarity dance in early dating before someone is claimed, because the pursuit is about ultimately claiming that person, right? And so again, we're talking specifically about this in terms of early dating. You cannot take this blueprint and just apply it to your entire relationship. You can't apply it to later on, but we're talking about right now in the beginning of dating, right? You meeting someone and that early stage. So you're not going to have two pursuers or two pursued. That doesn't work to create polarity. And the one who crosses this gap, who's kind of bridging that gap, is the one who's in the masculine energy, because the masculine energy pursues, impresses, is leaned forward, whereas feminine energy is pursued, responds, and is essentially leaned back. So if you're the woman trying and you find yourself being the one who is doing the pursuing with men in those initial stages, the one who is trying to bridge that gap, who is doing all the work, all the action, you're in masculine energy. You're in the pursuer role. And you're doing what is biologically and evolutionarily not correct for women to do, meaning you're overworking. So you're the one who's in the masculine energy, then you're in the convincer energy. And, they, like the man, is now being the one being put into feminine energy, into the more passive, receiving, lean back, evaluating energy. When this is your dynamic, what is most likely to happen is that you will continue ending up with lukewarm men who ultimately don't ever put you as a priority, don't ever fully commit to you, don't ever make sacrifices for you, and don't take on the masculine provider protector role for you. Or you're attracting men who are happy to just let you do all the work, and they're happy to take from you because they're in feminine energy. And so they're not full-grown, mature, masculine men, even if they might look like they are. So how we start a relationship tends to determine its dynamic going forward. So you're likely to be doing this for the entire relationship until it eventually crumbles. And that's extremely exhausting. It really takes a toll on our self-esteem because we know innately that we're supposed to be courted. We are supposed to be cherished and taken care of and pursued to be the prize, essentially. And we keep putting ourselves in situations where that isn't happening. And so we start to think there's something fundamentally wrong with us, and there's not. What's happening is you're attracting these situations where men are really kind of passive and aren't willing to put in the work for you and ultimately don't want to claim you or marry you. And the reason all of this is happening is just because you're in the masculine energy role. And if you prefer a healthy masculine man who pursues you, puts in the effort for you, courts you, claims you, sees you as the prize, the first thing you need to do is stop doing that and start embodying your feminine energy with men instead, meaning the healthy feminine energy that attracts healthy masculine men. So feminine energy is about receptivity, it's about responding, it's about receiving, whereas masculine energy is about action, initiation, giving, especially when we're talking about the way this works in that early dynamic. So there are a lot of important cues that we give off to men when we first interact with a man, whether it's on the apps or it's in person, that tell men about what kind of woman we are, how we see ourselves, our level of self-worth, etc. And how you begin with a man sets the tone. What you do or don't do with a man sets the tone. What you accept or don't accept from a man sets the tone. So you need to start embodying the feminine role from the start. And you need to be embodying that feminine energy because it's not just about what you do. It's actually much more about how you do it, what's behind it. It's the energy you are embodying, which is manifested through what you do or what you say. If you don't know how to send the right cues from the start, if you aren't like fully embodying your feminine from the start, you're going to keep attracting more of the same and not experience being pursued and claimed for life. It's the feminine energy that is magnetic. It's the feminine energy that naturally pulls things to her and pulls the masculine towards her. So right now you could have swung over into what I call the false masculine, where you're showing up in an almost masculine energy with men, which is going to be repelling the kind of masculine energy men who would pursue you. Or you could have turned the dial down on your feminine energy so low that men don't see you. So your natural light that draws masculine men towards you is not on. And so they don't feel what they need to feel to pursue you, to want to claim you. So that's one part. You've got to stop doing so much. And second, you've got to turn on your feminine energy. And inside the High Value Woman Mastermind, which is my 5-month live group coaching program for women who are looking to attract a healthy masculine man and get into a committed relationship with him, is enrolling right now. And we go deep into what that looks like, the subtle cues we give off, the ways you can communicate both in what you say and do, and also in how you are energetically showing up that attract these high quality masculine men that do pursue, that do put in the work for you. So there's that. And then secondly, you have to look at what is driving you to overwork for these men. What is driving you out of your feminine energy into that pursuing, overworking, leaned forward energy with men? Because this feminine energy shift that I'm talking about isn't just about tactics or about what you do or like learning scripts about what to say. It's even more so about what you feel and what you believe, because that's what you ultimately authentically are embodying and doing naturally. So if you're chasing men and leaning forward with men, or if you're wanting men who don't pursue you and court you, or if you're actually showing up in a masculine energy with men, or even just have your feminine energy dial turned way down, you need to look at why that is. This tends to go back to childhood stuff, something that happened that changed your belief systems and the level of connection and love and safety that you didn't actually experience in childhood that changed all of this, took you out of what would be a natural way that you'd show up in your feminine, what you learned about what it means to be a woman or how to get love. We have to kind of go back and look at what are your belief systems and where are they coming from, so we can do that rewiring work around it. It's usually something about your relationship with your mom or your dad that programmed you to chase unavailable people and work really hard for love, or think that you have to be in your masculine. And you could employ all of these like leaning back actions, but if it isn't embodied, if it isn't part of your belief system, it still won't work. So you're going to still end up wanting that guy who isn't putting in the effort for you, and subtly, energetically pursuing and leaning forward and convincing people. You'll still send signals of low self-worth to men and still attract men who don't take you seriously or treat you right. So even deeper, in order to be the kind of woman who is pursued and courted by a man, you have to embody the belief system of that woman. And that's where your behaviors are actually coming from. That's where your energy is actually coming from. So, I had a client who was leaning forward with men, especially energetically, and wanting a guy who was keeping her in this holding pattern of not fully committing to her. And she was giving and giving and giving. Now, she wasn't actually pursuing, but she was energetically leaning forward, energetically pursuing. So she knew about feminine energy to some extent, was trying to quote unquote lean back, but that's not how she actually felt inside. Inside, she felt that love was something she had to earn and work for. Inside, she felt like she wasn't good enough. Inside, she felt insecure. And this would come out in small things she was doing and saying or not saying, and in what she was accepting. So she would be worried about and overanalyzing him in the relationship. She was pretzeling herself to try to be what she thought he would like. In her head, she was, planning their wedding, even though they weren't there yet. She was waiting on him, and when she'd see him, when she'd hear from him, and she would sometimes have these reactive or more explosive reactions to him out of nowhere because of her unmet needs. And, men can sense all this stuff that's going on inside of us about a woman. It's that energetic chasing that they can sense. So you cannot fake this. So in order for her to become the kind of woman who was pursued, who a man was taking action towards and putting in effort for, she had to address this stuff that was driving all of these behaviors in ways that she was feeling. When she did that, he was out of the picture. She attracted a super high quality, healthy, masculine guy who put her first. He prioritizes her. He puts in the work for her. He values her. He wants to make her happy. He's properly courting her, and he wants a future with her. And she didn't have to do the work for this. It was actually very easy for her. Love became easy for her. So she did that deeper inner work that allowed her to naturally embody her authentic feminine energy. So to recap, how do you get a man to pursue you? How do you become a pursued woman? Well, there are 3 levels that we have to address. So the first level is your actions, the obvious surface level actions that we can see. So if you're pursuing men in an obvious way, you're going to stop doing that. The second level is your energy, and that's embodying your feminine energy, which is magnetic to masculine men and repels men who aren't mature masculine men and just want to take or just really aren't super interested. So you embodying that start to attract more of what you want. The third level, and this is the most important one, is your underlying beliefs and the covert ways that you might be obsessing about someone, overworking, overthinking, leaning forward, not feeling good enough, which underlie literally everything else and is therefore sensed by men and informs how they're going to show up for you, how they might treat you, and most importantly, what you are accepting or not accepting. And so we work at all 3 of these levels inside the High Value Woman Mastermind. And if you're listening to this and you're ready to attract that dream guy and the dream relationship, you're ready to do the work and dive in and become the woman who is pursued, who is courted, who is chosen by a high quality masculine man, then I invite you to join the High Value Woman Mastermind, which is my 5-month group coaching program for high achieving women who want to have the relationship of their dreams and their dream man. So this program is my framework for dating successfully in the modern world, which is tough and is confusing and is hard to navigate if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know what to look for. And the fact is that really nobody has taught us how to do this. So inside this program, you're going to learn how to navigate dating, to what you need to look for, the questions you need to be asking, what you need to be doing, your job in this whole attraction process. Not to date to get into a situationship, not to date to get into a relationship going nowhere, but for dating for long-term viability, picking the right man and getting to commitment with him. Instead of just kind of doing whatever, picking random tips from Instagram and not having a clear roadmap that takes you all the way, dating to commitment. When we don't have that roadmap, we can draw out the process for us, and finding someone can take potentially much longer, years longer. My program gives you this blueprint to help you shortcut all of this. So my clients are getting into committed relationships, going towards marriage with amazing men who treat them amazing, within 2 months of meeting. So you're going to get coached through my inner work process for healing the wounds and negative belief systems and baggage that you might be carrying from childhood or from previous relationships, and actually heal the root of low self-worth, heal towards secure attachment, knowing your worth, knowing your value, and really embodying that lighthouse effortlessly without working hard. You're going to learn the secrets about femininity and masculinity, masculine and feminine energy that are kind of lost right now in the modern world. It's not something that we've really learned anywhere. The secrets to being that pursued, happy woman. You're going to learn the communication skills and tools that you need to be successful in a relationship. Men and women communicate very differently. We need different things. So how can you communicate with a man to get what you need? And how can you have that relationship be really smooth and not have your communication be the reason that it doesn't work out? Most of us really need some different communication tools than what we've seen modeled from our families and our parents. You're going to learn about men and the masculine and how they operate, how they are different than us, and in what specific ways. So we can understand how a man commits, when he commits, why he commits, how to tell what kind of man he is, and if he's serious about you, and just how men are operating in relationships and differently than us. So all of this is part of an in-depth 9-module online curriculum that you'll get access to, which covers everything. And then you have 5 months of live group coaching calls. We meet 3 weeks out of the month for 2 hours. So you're out there, you're implementing what you're learning, you're going through the material, you're running into different situations, seeing what gets triggered in you, and then you'll be able to bring your stuff, your question, the places that you need help to the live coaching. You get to watch other women be coached as well and get to learn through them. You get to be part of this community of women on the same journey, doing the same work. This is a very sacred, very loving and supportive community. That's a really beautiful place to be. But then you're getting that live support as you're actually out there trying things, implementing, running up against things, getting your questions answered, catching things early. You also get a private Facebook group where you get support, again, to get your questions answered outside of our calls. I'm in there personally responding every day. And you're also getting a 60-minute one-on-one call with me where we can really deep dive into wherever you're getting stuck, maybe some of that deeper inner work that you may need to really just flip the switch on everything. So we are starting in 2 weeks, the beginning of October. There are only less than 10 seats left, and it is filled first come, first serve. So join us now. Don't wait another 6 months to have more things go wrong, to be more confused, accumulating more frustration or pain along in the process of that. Like, I've got you. I'm here for you. I want to help you get there as quickly as possible. And so, we're going to take you all the way with everything that you need. So you can find the link to join in my bio. You could send me a DM if you would like the link or if you have any questions. And I will see you next time. Bye.